Welcome to From Content to Clients. I'm your host, Sydney O'Brien, and this show is for busy service-based business owners who do not have time to keep throwing content at the wall and hoping it leads somewhere for their business. Here, we talk about smarter content making, stronger messaging, and how to create content that actually helps your business get clients, especially if you are working in small chunks of time. Welcome back to From Content to Clients. Today is a really exciting day because I get to talk to Carolyn, who does all kinds of website strategy stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Actually, before we get into your website background, can you tell us what you were doing before that? Just because I think it's so cool.
I'm happy to. So for years, I owned a cheese shop and a wine bar, and I worked in artisanal cheese. I worked in food. I met my husband. He was a chef. We met working in a restaurant together, and I loved it. I loved getting to, work with these small cheesemakers and tell their stories to people. I used to love teaching cheese and wine classes, cheese and beer pairing classes. I had a little bar where I did flights and pairings, and that was my whole life. And I had always had chronic illness, although when I was growing up, we didn't know it was called that. We also didn't know about neurodivergence when I was growing up, which is a later in life thing. But once I was owning my own business and trying to run a brick and mortar in-person business, and social media had just been invented. Well, not invented. Instagram had just been invented. And so I was trying to keep up with marketing and wearing all the hats, which anyone who runs a business solo is very familiar with, right? Like hiring and training and doing all of my legal stuff and any kind of, client and customer management, nurturing all that. And I was really overwhelmed. And then I became a parent. And my health got worse. My executive functioning got worse. Everything just got really overwhelming. And I went, I would say, into burnout, although I didn't realize it at the time. And I decided I needed a change. So I sold my shop. I got rid of my shop and didn't know what I was going to do after that. And I was like, I know how to do so many things because I ran a business, but I can't do these for other people because I just know how to do them for myself. So I took a little bit of time and was helping other small business owners that I know with the things that I had learned how to do. And I decided to go really full force into the website design element of it. What I hated doing my business, I actually loved doing other people's. So not specifically website design, but all of these marketing platforms that are geared to us as being DIY, in my experience, really weren't DIY because one, you have no time, and two, you don't know the strategy. So yeah, anyone can put together an email template using, MailChimp or whatever. But if you don't know how email marketing works in terms of, nurturing people and creating demand for your services and all of that, then you're just spinning your wheels constantly. So I started doing that when I was 40 and pregnant and changed careers completely and really find a lot of joy in helping solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, service providers with the website strategy part of their business, because that really is like your business hub in a lot of ways, especially when you've been in business for a few years, you're busy. It needs to not just be social proof for you, but it actually needs to do some work. So yeah, that's how I got into what I'm doing now. My first word was cheese. My 9-year-old's first word was cheese, and my 6-year-old won't touch it. He hates it. So that's where we landed.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, my 3 kids all hate cheese, so I rarely buy it, and it's such a shame.
The funny thing is that my 9-year-old is such a snob about cheese. And this wasn't something that was baked into his childhood. Of course, he ate good food and he ate good cheese, but he can tell the difference, even though it's been, I don't know, I haven't owned a cheese shop since 2017. He was a year old when I sold it, and he's still he will only eat the good stuff.
That's funny. He has good taste.
He does, yeah. Can't blame him.
No. Something you talk about a lot is the prep before the prep when it comes to websites. Now, to me, it sounds really intriguing because I love the strategy side of things, but that also sounds really daunting and maybe potentially tedious. Can you explain a bit about what that is and if it's as not fun as it sounds?
I mean, it is not the sexy part of building a website. And I'm a website redesign expert, right? So I work with people who usually DIY'd their first site. They've maybe been in business anywhere between 3 and 7 years, maybe a little more, a little less. And so they need to redo their site. And usually the feelings that come along with that are, one, that you're embarrassed to send your link to somebody, or you're making excuses for it as you're sending it, or doing all these other things in the background of your business to avoid sending someone there. So you have a new service, a new offer you want to talk about, and instead of sending them to your services page, you're putting together a Google Doc or sending them to the DMs or whatever. So usually the first thing people want to do when they're excited to redo their site are their fonts and their colors and the frosting on the cake, which I love that stuff too. I can go down a rabbit hole for hours when I do that for clients. But in the dozens of client sites that I've done, I've seen either they DIY the project and don't do the foundational prep that is not sexy, and then they have to redo their site a year later, or it's actually not doing anything for them. Or they start a project with someone like me and they're overwhelmed by the amount of prep they have to do for content collection, I would say. Not even creation, just collection. So the prep before the prep is not sexy. And it's not, it doesn't feel close to the end of your project, right? Where colors and fonts do feel like, oh, I'll put this up there and it looks great. But if you spend like a little bit of time on the prep before the prep, it'll make your website last twice as long. It'll make the process of building it go twice as quickly, whether you hire someone or doing it by yourself. And it'll just give you a much better like return on investment on your time and money, essentially. So yeah, it's not fun. But I don't think it's also that daunting if you have like a plan for it. If you know what you need and you're like, okay, I'm going to sit down and spend like 20 minutes on this today, like then it's not quite as daunting. I mean, a plan always helps me.
Yeah. If I don't have like a specific place to start, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's just this overwhelming mess of things.
Yes.
So my goal is always to like, okay, let's make this into manageable chunks of like what you need and how to do that.
Right. What kind of things are included in the prep before the prep?
So there's a lot. But I think that the 5 main things would come before hiring a copywriter, for example, or before doing any like even social media content, like anything at all. So one of those things is going to be for your website, you need to figure out what you want your website to do. Like social proof is the bare minimum. When you say like, it's just like people to check me out and make sure I'm legit, every website should do that. And that is the bare minimum. But if you're redoing your website, it needs to have more of a job than that. Like you pay your website a salary, right? You pay like the domain fee and the hosting fee and all these things, like it needs to have a job. So whether that is getting people to buy your course, getting people to book a discovery call, getting people to join your program, whatever it is, like you need to identify your one main job that actually people should take on your site. That's like the very first foundational thing. And then also I usually recommend secondary action because that first like job is basically asking your site visitor to marry you. And like not everyone's ready for marriage if they're just coming in cold. So let's ask them on a date also, which might be like joining your email list or listening to your podcast or whatnot. So that's like the very first thing. And from there, you want to go into like, okay, who do I want coming to my site? Because one of the main things that I see when we're redoing sites is that people aren't necessarily clear on their target audience. And I think there's a lot of misconception around this because people will think, I don't want to niche that specific because then I can't work with other people. Oh, you can certainly work with whoever you want, but you need to be speaking directly to your target audience in terms of, what you present as your offers, the language that you're using, the imagery that you're selecting, all those types of things. From there, you want to go into your brand bio, and the target audience and the brand bio are so key for like any kind of marketing that you're doing, right? Like for your again, social media, copy, anything. But I want to have like a really clear description of what you do, how you do it, and who you do it for. Because again, a lot of people that I work with come in with like 2 paragraphs instead of like 2 lines. And it's not to say that you can't have a super complex, behind the scenes operation. Like I do a ton of things, but I have like a very specific thing front facing on my website. So when people want to refer me, people come to my website, whatever it is, they know exactly who I am and what I do. Because when you think about it, like, are you going to hire someone who, is saying that they are an accountant, but they also will do your, like Google Drive organization? It's like, it's not that they can't do all those things, but like you're going to hire the person who's like an expert in what they're doing. And I also feel very strongly about the concept of niching down. I would love to hear your take on this too. Like there's one person who's always telling me, oh, you should niche into website design for like blue collar type jobs. Like they need better websites. I'm like, yeah, but that's not interesting to me. My niche is people who need a website redesign, who have like done their website. Now they need a second one. That's a niche. That's fine. But I think that there's this misconception of niching as being like a subset of your people's jobs, I guess, or people's like industries. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I see the same thing. And as someone who works with lawyers and like copywriters and coaches and authors and toy makers, like a whole spectrum of people, I don't like the pare down to like one kind of industry thing. It's not fun.
Yeah. And if somebody wants to, that's great. Like that's great for them. I love that. One of my really good friends and like business buddies does graphic design, and she does graphic design for nonprofits and higher ed organizations. That's awesome. Like that's a niche and I love it. It's just, I think everyone should have a niche, but it doesn't have to be in that specific kind of way as an industry. All right. So those are three things. I think that having some sense of the visual direction you want is really helpful. It doesn't have to be all the visuals done, but some people will come to me with a site and they'll just like photo dump. And it's like some photos were from their brand when they first started, and some are like, snapshots that their friend took, and some are like professional. Like you need to curate a little bit of your visuals. And you're hiring someone like me, you're going to get some visual support. I'm going to do, stock imagery search and icon search and customization, all those things. But I need to know where we're starting from. I think having your social proof organized is really, really helpful. Again, people will come to me and they'll start their websites and I'll ask for testimonials and they'll be like, and they'll provide 3. But having strategic testimonials in certain places on your site, knowing what offer or service they go with, and finding like a wealth of them is going to do much more for you. That's your social proof, not just your website, but your testimonials, any case studies, having all that organized before you start your site is going to help it go so much more smoothly and easily, as well as like knowing what goes where, like which testimonials go with which service, or case studies, same thing, where you want to point people to next after they read that case study. And what can I think of my last one? Oh, your offers, your services. This is super key. Okay. So people come to me and they know their services, right? But they don't know how to describe them fully. Like they don't know how to describe the deliverables, the process of hiring them, what comes after they get hired, what comes before you start, all of the like specifics that somebody needs to understand before they book you, before they hire you. I think of it like in a pond, there's a frog on one side of the pond and he sees like, oh, you're the other side is like, yeah, I want to go there, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. But then you put like a bunch of little lily pads that show the path, the way across the pond. And it's like, oh, I can do that easy. I'm on board. So that's how I think of like describing your process, describing, the outcomes, all those different things that go along with your offers or services. If it doesn't all have to be on your website in the same spot, right? It can be used in FAQs. It can be used on your post booking page, whatever it might be. But if you're redoing your website, you need to know that information so that if it does come up, part of the design process. So those are my big things. That's like the unsexy prep. But the funny thing is that when people tell me when they go through this, that it's the process of going through it that clarifies their business for them, which is really interesting. So it's not that you get the clarity first and then you do you gather all this prep. It's like you start the prep and that's what helps clarify things in your business.
It is super interesting.
Yeah. So the process is really interesting.
It is. As you were talking about like compiling the whole process thing, I was thinking, do you work with a lot of solo business owners? I'm guessing a lot of us just keep that in our heads and never think to like lay it out in a Google Doc or something. So it makes it super easy.
Yeah, 100%. I work with almost all solopreneurs. I really enjoy that because I like taking some of the stuff off their plate because they have too much other stuff going on. I relate really hard to that. And yeah, I think you're totally right. This is all stuff that we know, but it's never like in one spot. And when I ask about it beforehand, it's like becomes this big slog to like, okay, how do I describe this process? And wait a minute, now that I see it written down, maybe I should change this to this. And the changing it or the clarifying it or the, gathering it all together, you don't want to be doing it at the same time that you're giving that information to somebody. And it's very common. It's like, I totally get why it happens. And it's because we're all busy. Like who's really sitting down and writing all that stuff out? But it's kind of like building the plane while flying it as far as your website build. You want to get it all figured out ahead of time.
Yeah, that makes sense. What is the biggest mistake you see people make before they start redesigning?
I think that the excitement of finally getting it together and doing your site, right? Because people that I work with, they've been having these feelings for a while. And they're really, really ready. And they finally are like, okay, I put this project on the books. I'm with the calendar. I'm going to do it. And the first step is either finding a template, or the first step is hiring a designer, or the first step is looking at colors and fonts. And so I think that that is the most fun part. But I think that, for example, you're hiring a designer. How do you want to approach the project? Do you want it to be done with you? Do you want it to be semi-custom build? Do you want it to be full custom bells and whistles? Do you want to do the copy yourself? Do you want to hire somebody for copy? What do you actually need? And like figuring that out should always come before the first step of hiring somebody or picking your colors and fonts or picking a template. Like most people pick templates based on how they look, but not on any of the foundational things, like what you want your site to do for you, what types of pages you're going to need to have on your site. So you buy a template and you start and you're like, oh, I actually don't have my copy. Let me stop. Let me write some copy. It fill in the sections that are here, not the sections that I need, but the sections that are in front of me. And then you go back to it and you keep building and you're like, oh, I need a sales page. And like, oh, this template doesn't have a sales page. Or same thing with hiring. You're like excited to like hire out, which I love. But then I get to like copy onboarding or talking about copy and they're like, oh yeah, I don't have any copy. So maybe we need to back up and like, either buy a copy template first or hire a copywriter, whatever it may be. So again, doing the fun stuff, which I love the fun stuff. But jumping ahead to that part is not where you want to start. That's like if you're baking a cake, we need to start with like the baking soda and the flour and the eggs and like all the structural things before we do the frosting. And then when you do the frosting, it'll actually stay up instead of like falling in on itself. And so it makes that part more enjoyable. But I think that starting both with prep and then starting with like figuring out how you want to approach the project, which I actually have a quiz for on my website, is a better place to start. Again, slowing it all down, making it all step by step instead of, diving headfirst into like, what's the end result going to look like?
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. When I talk to people about like social media strategy or like content marketing, including like emails and things strategy, they get really into like the cute designs of Canva templates or like hopping on fun trends and things. I'm like, this is super fun. I love this. We're not chasing vanity metrics, though. We want clients. So we got to put a plan in place to make sure that happens.
Yeah. I mean, the fun stuff will come. It just will come after the strategy part of it. And I totally get what people want to do the fun stuff first. Like I want to do the fun stuff first. You know what I mean? I love eating dessert first. But I also want to make sure that like my clients and people that people who come to me aren't going to be redesigning their site a year later because, they made decisions based on that fun stuff. So it's my job to help them make decisions and to give them information in order to make those decisions together. So it's doing the foundations before you do the like frosting is really my whole approach to website design. Cause it's one of the most content heavy pieces of your business. Like I can't think of much more. Maybe like a CRM would be just as content heavy because you have like proposals and, emails and like all that kind of stuff. But there's not much that's more content heavy than your website. And so like if you're putting all the energy into doing it, like hell, do it once. I mean, you'll have to do it again, right? Like maybe like 5-10 years down the road, sure. But like do it once and do it right so you don't have to touch it again for a long time.
Yeah. It saves you a bunch of time in the long run for sure.
And money.
Rather than like going bin. Yeah.
Like I have clients that, they have to reschedule because they're like, oh shoot, I didn't realize I needed to change these things about how I work with people and my services. So like I need to like push back the starting date. I'm like, okay, we can do that. And there's a reschedule fee, which by the way, if I have to reschedule, I also pay back my clients a reschedule fee, but there's a reschedule fee. So it costs them tons of money. Like, or they have to delay because they're like, oh, I need more time to gather all of my case studies that I didn't write, that I wanted to have on my website, but I don't have written, So yeah, saving time and money as a solopreneur, as a small business owner, like that's the name of the game. Like we have so much stuff going on all the time. Putting a little bit of time into it up front is going to save so much time on the back end. And I get why it's really hard to set aside that time. But if you think about like, saving you in the long run, that's really kind of stops you in your tracks and makes you think about it a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I think it's also interesting that people that I talk to I just did this whole audience research project and I interviewed, I did a survey with about 100 people and then I interviewed like 15 to 20 people in all different areas of coaches, consultants, service businesses. Some of them had DIY their website, some of them had hired out, some kind of did courses, all different approaches. And one thing I thought was very interesting was that people who were talking about redoing their site, when I talked to them about what kind of prep they wanted to do, they said, well, I guess I need to get like, again, my colors and my fonts, maybe some new images. I get some new images done. But like no one mentioned copy. No one mentioned, market research, which is super foundational. That's like another super foundational step that I cover in one of my programs. But I think that people don't know what they don't know. So I don't expect anyone who's not a website builder to come into a project this knowing like, oh, these are the things I need to gather. Like easy. Like I don't know what I don't know about, social media and content creation, whatnot. Like that's not my area of expertise. So I think that that's pretty common when it comes to website builds. Again, whether DIY or hiring someone, people don't know what they're going to need, which makes total sense.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of stuff because I remember going through your challenge. I don't remember how long ago it was, but a lot of the stuff there was like, oh, wow. Yeah, this is important. Why didn't I know this?
Well, you're not a website designer. So it's not your job.
Makes sense.
That's something that I'm doing the challenge again in a couple weeks. And that was like the most common feedback was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about this. I didn't even know I needed this. And like going through this has made it so much clearer and like gives me a path forward to actually like attempt a website project now. And that's actually like, on these audience research calls, like one of the most interesting things, people talk about this in all areas of the businesses, that they weren't starting the project because they thought they needed to get clarity first. There was so much they had to do first that they didn't even begin because it was too overwhelming. And I think that that's like something that the challenge is really helpful with, but just in general, like doing this website prep, it's again, doing it is what gives you the clarity, and you're not going to get the clarity first and then be like, oh yeah, let me just go out there my prep. But the same thing with it. Yeah. The challenge is what help people with that clarity.
Yes, I can certainly attest to that. When are you running it?
So 3rd to August 7th, it's a free challenge. It's 5 days. It's mostly through Slack. So it's async. You don't have to show up anywhere. Every day I'll send an audio message, and there's a Notion dashboard to help you gather everything. And we go through each of like my 5 key prep areas, and I'll give you feedback. And I am in Slack all day long answering questions and helping people figure stuff out. And I think people learn a lot from each other too. So it's a great medium for that. And again, like the number one thing that I see over and over is that people, and you and I know this from, staying solo, like people want to do this stuff, but finding the time is nearly impossible with so many things competing for your attention. So saying like, okay, these 5 days are on my calendar. I'm going to spend half an hour a day on, like, even just that is the accountability factor. Like you're more likely to do it, co-working in a sense, even though it's async. And I also have like through my website, but through the challenge too, I have like a specific, it's called Trail Mix. It's a site prep kit. And so it goes beyond what the challenge does. It's a low cost item, and it's again through Notion, but it's like a gathering and organizational tool that helps you like prep for a brand photo shoot. It gives you like, it helps you determine what you need and what you want and give you like a handoff sheet for your photographer. It has a module about market research. So again, like the audience research project that I did, it has an organization tool and like templates for that. So that is like the next level version of prep for your website. And again, like these things, like even when I do them, it helps with all areas of my business. I have like copywriter friends saying, thank you for having this person who did this before they came to me. Like it just really helps in every area. And my goal with the challenge is to get anyone who wants to do their website in a place where they feel less overwhelmed and more ready.
Yeah, I can definitely say it was incredibly helpful. And I think it was one of the only challenges that I actually signed up for and then like did 100% of the way through and like got so much out of it. So highly, highly recommend.
Yay.
But to anyone listening, it's a really, really great challenge. And I know you said something about people like not having the time to do it, but this was really, really worth the time you set aside, not only for like the information in the challenge, but in Slack, like you give feedback on stuff too. And that was insanely helpful.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, this warms my heart. I'm so glad to hear it. I think I took some steps because last time was the first time I did it. And this time I made it a little bit less overwhelming even because I know that like some people were struggling to accomplish this stuff. So I made it like simpler. But yeah, I really love just being able to pop in there and give lots of feedback to people. When at the end of every day, you send the link to your completed work and I'll take a look and I'll give you my, thoughts and feedback. And other people I think do too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see like, so many people who are in the same situation as you, right? You're like, oh, now I've got this figured out. Okay, great.
It's so validating. Yeah.
It's actually, so like, I'm also running again, Website Wayfinder, which is my done with you small group website building program. And it's for 15 people and it starts right after the challenge. And it's over the course of 14 weeks, then also 2 weeks in there for catch up. So 16 weeks really, but it's based on the same kind of ideas where it's like, we need to set aside time for this. So there's set aside time every week for working on your site. And it's very structured. It gives you like everything, in order what you need to do. But I think one of the best things about it is being in there with other people who are in the same place as you. To like stop feeling that website shame as like a solopreneur by yourself. To be like, well, yeah, so we all struggle with this thing. Okay, cool. I feel a little bit better about it. And then to get help on like actually making it better. I think that's one of the coolest things about it.
Yeah. I love that about small groups.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for something like a website where it is like this huge part of your business and you just feel so awful when it's not as good as it should be.
I mean, like right now I want to redo my website. I don't want to redo everything about it, but I open it to show people stuff and I'm cringing. I'm like, don't look at that. Oh, no, this is all getting redone. This is all getting redone.
Not this section. Don't look there.
Oh, this looks
weird. Go over here.
It.
Yeah.
Well, this copy's out of date. Yeah. So, I mean, it's nice to be with other people and also to get everyone's feedback, because some of the stuff you're like, oh, well, I did this, but does this look right? Or like, does this sound right? And getting, my feedback is great, but getting feedback from other people who are, in adjacent industries, you could say, is also really nice. It's really helpful to get like multiple opinions.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when it's like a project that you are like really, really close to, like more eyes is always incredibly helpful.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that I have in my business that I love, like both through staying solo squad. It's great. But I
Mhm.
have like, I told you about the graphic designer. She's like become my business bestie. And I have another, friend as well who like, when I'm struggling with something, I can just like send it off to them and they give me like solid feedback. And it's been one of the most helpful things as a solopreneur. We actually last year, and we're doing it again this year, we went on a weekend working retreat. It was amazing. I loved it. We like each picked a project we were going to work on for the weekend. And then we get feedback from each other at the end of the day and kind of like check in with each other. And then my one friend I'm a Typeform partner and Typeform expert, and she was doing a quiz. So I like helped her with her thing. And then my other friend who was there is a social media expert and she helped me with my thing. And it was really cool. And then at night we'd go out to dinner and just like have a good time. So we're doing that again this year. And like, having the feedback and opinions and troubleshooting and whatever it is from like other solopreneurs is really invaluable. I love it.
That sounds like so much fun too. Is it as productive as it sounds?
Yes, this is how I came up with the challenge and Website Wayfinder was last year on our Business
Oh, wow.
Besties weekend retreat. I like fleshed everything out and then I'd be like, oh, what do you think about this? Does this sound right? And they're like, oh, how about you do this? Like they just gave me so much. I'd always had it as like an idea in my mind. As a way like I could help people. It was different than now or with doing done for you, I guess, is what I'd always done. And so it was super productive. Like we started the weekend, my one friend led us in a meditation. And then we like each spent like the entire day working in this beautiful house in Asheville. And then when we go out together, we get to like just like chat about it. And it was also nice to be away from my children for 3 days. I love them, but it was so like, it's so nice to feel a different version of yourself, I guess, or to like reconnect with a different version of yourself. And so that actually helped me be super productive as well and just like enjoy myself, have a good time.
That makes a ton of sense. And Asheville seems like such a great place to do that. I love Asheville so much.
Same.
But yeah, even like now when my kids aren't in the room with me and I'm doing this, I'm still occasionally like, did I just hear them start a fight? Are they like jumping on something they shouldn't be jumping on or something? Like even when they're right there, you're still kind of attuned to them a bit. So being away and being able to get stuff done must be very nice.
It is. And like, I know that my workday is ending every day at 5:30 because we're going to have dinner together as a family or whatever it may be. I remember last year there was like one weekend or one week that like my husband took one of our kids somewhere and the other one was like off with, the grandparents. And I'd like wake up late instead of me. I love my little kids coming into bed and snuggling with me, but I slept past 6 a.m. every day. And then like if I worked 3 hours and then take a 2-hour break and then work till 10 o'clock at night, like I could just do it however I wanted. And,
Yeah.
if you're young and single or older and single, like you get to do that. But as a parent, it's not quite as easy. And even like, yeah, my kids are in camp all day today, but I know that like that hard stop is coming and I have to like disconnect almost. Like I need like a break in between. I work in my home office and I need a break between here and like going in to be with my family. Because otherwise my brain will just stay in that workspace. So having that weekend away, like you can really choose where to put your mental energy, which is liberating. And I think
That
that
sounds
that's one of the
amazing.
things that's nice about having accountability in these group programs for me is that I'm like, okay, Monday from 10 to 12, I'm co-working and like I'm showing up.
Yeah, co-working is always really helpful for me too, so I can make sure I have that focus time.
It brings me to the table. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
no matter what else is going on in my brain, I'm going to pull that focus to like this thing that I need to work on.
yeah, exactly.
hmm
Otherwise, I might be like, wait, did I switch laundry over and like get up and then see like 5 other things I meant to do and get way off track?
hmm Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Which is nice about working from home. You get to do all these other things, but having a little bit of that like forced focus is
Mhm.
helpful for me. Forced
Yeah,
focus.
same.
Instead of calling my website Wayfinder weeks co-working, I'm going to call it forced focus.
You should. As like nice alliteration, it's good. For someone listening who's realizing they're probably not as prepared as they thought or their website isn't up to par as much as they thought, where would you suggest that they start?
I have lots of resources to help. So my business is called Maypop Creative Studio. If you go to maypopcreativestudio.com/ freebies. If it's while I'm running the challenge, join us in the challenge. I do it twice a year in the summer and in August, and then again in the beginning of January, kind of like when everyone's regrouping a little bit and thinking about their plans for what's coming up. So that's a great way, the great place to start. You'll also find there the link for Trail Mix, which is my prep kit. And like that has been born out of the place that I find clients need to start when they come to me. So it's like when they're ready to start a website, when they're ready there to start a website, what they actually need. And so Trail Mix I designed to do over the course of 6 weeks. It's like one module per week. You can do it over a year if you want. You can bang the whole thing out in 1 week, no problem. But like my thinking is like, if you're going to overwhelm yourself at this stage of getting everything together, then you're just going to be stopped before you even start, right? Like, I mean, I would be. So that's where I would start. I would start with Trail Mix. The challenge, if we're doing the challenge, if it's August and you're listening to this, the beginning or July, or if it's, December, then come join us in the challenge, get your site together challenge. And you can also call it the get your shit together challenge, whatever you prefer. And then if it's not during those times, I would start with my Trail Mix. That will help you do audience research, brand photo shoot, clarifying your ideal client avatar. It helps with so many different things. So yeah, that's a great place to start.
Yeah. And with that, all the things that are included in Trail Mix, like they help like pretty sure every aspect of your marketing and also like building out your offers and everything. Like that sounds insanely helpful.
Yeah. I think that like helps you with keyword research, which is a big thing that people need help with when they come to work with me, like having no idea how to do keyword research or where to begin. Helps you organize your offers. And you need keyword research when you're, if you do Pinterest, like even social media these days, like anything like that. I've heard about like, SEO is, some people say SEO is dead and it's absolutely not. I use the same, scraping of your website or social media, everywhere else that humans do.
Yeah.
And then voice of client, like before you hire a copywriter, having that voice of client before you do your social media, like any of those things, it's really, really helpful to understand what your ideal client wants and how they talk about what they want. And that's important before you do your keyword research. I mean, like one thing leads into the next with Trail Mix. So it's designed to be a tool, not just like teaching, but an actual tool that you're using in all areas of your business. I also would say that I think that most people believe that for websites, they either DIY or hire someone. And like those are your two options. Like for fully custom build or use AI. Now you can use AI. So use AI and DIY or DIY with a template or just hire someone to do a fully custom build. But there's like all sorts of ways in between there that you can work with a professional. Or even if you're DIYing, like different ways that you can start that project. So for me, that really depends on like your capacity at the moment, your interest, your business stage, the functionality that you need, budget that you have, the amount of time you have. Like there's a bunch of factors that kind of lead into like what I'd recommend for someone. And so I do on that freebies page, I have a quiz for that you kind of you answer a couple multiple choice questions and it'll give you your best approach. Although I will say, out of all those options I just talked about, I would not use AI unless you're doing just like a short-term minimum viable option for a web page. And I actually talked about that in an email that I wrote recently. So if you get in my email list, you'll get more stuff about that, which is also on our website, mapeupcreativestudio.com. You can sign up for my emails. But I think that all of the options are valid, like DIY, buy a template, do semi-custom, do done with you, do a course, do any of those things, except very specific parameters for vibe coding with AI. It does not work for most sites. But some.
It's good to know. I know that I would ever think to do too much with AI for a website. I'm just so skeptical of it.
Doing like a lot more, like I see all the time on social media, people are like, I have ad coded my site, check it out. I'm like, that is great. There are a couple small issues. Not to say that you can't do it. Like if you are just like testing something, you have like a new offer, you just want to test it out, go for it. If you're brand new in business, I don't recommend hiring a designer if you're brand new in business. I think that like having a couple of years to like 2 years, 1 year, whatever it may be, to like really figure out all the things that we talked about today, like all those prep things, having a little bit of time in your business to figure it out before you invest significant money or time. And so using AI for like a brand new idea, like again, minimum viable. That's what we're doing when we're doing an AI vibe coded website. Nothing that you want to work for you for a long time, nothing that you care about it being secure, nothing that you want to make significant updates to, because getting AI to move something like 3 pixels to the left or make it like a little bit bigger is really impossible. So, but it's doable. I'm not saying never use it. I'm not like 100% against AI, just like very strategic.
Yeah, it definitely has its uses, but some things it's just not great at.
Yes, agreed. So yeah, but all the other options you'll find, and you won't find that as an option in my quiz. Like it's not going to tell you, oh, you should vibe code your website. But it does talk about templates, DIY, done with you, semi-custom, which most people don't even know semi-custom is an option. To fully custom, like the whole range of like, where do I even begin now that I know that I want to do this project?
And as someone who has gone through your challenge, I personally recommend that you do that, knowing that this is going to be published at like mid-July. Go sign up. I'll put the link in the show notes.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's really fun. Like it's a fun environment. I have a lot of fun with it and it's free. So hopefully by the end of it, you're like, oh, I just got all this good stuff out of this free challenge.
Yeah, I got so much out of it. More than you would get from any other free resource, I think. Just like I know most people are like listening to podcast episodes like this one, but having the feedback and like the guided resource aspect of it was immensely helpful. So yes, absolutely go sign up for that. And thank you so much for coming to chat with me today all about website design. I appreciate it.
This was great. I really, really appreciate you having me and getting to like talk about this with you. Fun.
Thank you. Thanks for hanging out with me on From Content to Clients. If this episode helped you think differently about your content, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's next. And if you're ready for content that's more strategic and less throw it together and hope for the best, head to sydneyobrien.com to learn more about working with me.